And welcome back to the Sopranos Men show. We're your hosts, Chris Brodhead and Michael Dennis. We are the most autistic Mad Men analysis show on the internet. We're also the most autistic Sopranos analysis show on the internet because we're analyzing both shows one episode at a time. This week, we made to the end of season 2, Chris. It is Funhouse over on The Sopranos, April 9th, year 2000. Over on Mad Men, Meditations in an Emergency, October 26th, 2008. Chris, we made it to the end of season 2. I can't believe it.
Do you think an alternative title for this Sopranos episode was Fart House?
Fart House. I have listed in here. I want to talk about how good the Sopranos are at farts. That show is not above a really good ass ripping.
I love both of these episodes. My only disappointment, I was like after at least the fifth stock fart sound in Sopranos, I was like, if there is a fart sound in Mad Men, I will lose my mind.
Well, I had a question here for you. Let's just go ahead and hop into this real quick. Does Don Draper ever fart?
Like in the show or
Yes.
in his life?
Is there ever a scene, a moment in the canon of Mad Men where Don Draper rips ass?
No.
I didn't think so. I couldn't think of one. I racked my brain. Meanwhile, over on The Sopranos, Tony's ripping farts left and right here, but the show in general isn't above a good fart joke. There's farts all over this show all the time. Nobody really farts in Mad Men.
No, I can't think of a single one.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
closest we get is Joel Murray peeing his pants.
Yeah, we have pants wetters. We have pants
Yeah.
pissers. We got those, but no toots. No toots in the 60s.
Yeah. I think the 60s were a toot free time.
You got to hold it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a different age, man. If you were coming home from working all day 9 to 5 in your suit and tie and you put on like an evening suit and tie to have dinner with your kids, you definitely weren't farting in front of them.
Yeah. Man, I'm sure they didn't track this, but the colon cancer rates had to be through the roof back then.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they were just misdiagnosing all of those lung cancer ailments. And actually it was just like their bodies were holding in all the farts and it was rotting them from the inside out.
Big tobacco did nothing wrong.
Yeah. That's that's a phrase I live by. A phrase I live my life by.
Let your farts out, people.
Exactly.
In the most glorious stock farty sounds possible.
No,
Dude,
I
will say this. If Mad Men had incorporated a fart sound, it would have been a 100% organic made from scratch fart sound. Whereas
like
the Sopranos,
they're holding the mic up to someone's butt on set.
they're doing like at least 100 takes of that fart to get the perfect crisp.
Yeah, they're bringing
release.
They're bringing in catering from Taco Bell or Chipotle, and then they're just like they're just setting up the mic upside down, and there's just like a conveyor belt line worth of people. Just come on by and let one go. Yours might be in the episode.
And that's Matt Weiner's promise. He's like, listen, I've mastered structure here from Sopranos. I have the spare time to find the perfect fart sound.
Yeah.
That's my promise.
Yeah. He's got that big board that we're always talking about with everything. And he's like, all right, I got everything where it's supposed to be. He's got like one little card left in his hand. It's like, well, it just says farts on it. He's just looking at that board like, oh no, I got the whole season done and I forgot to make room for the farts.
He's like, hopefully no one will notice that there's no fart sounds in this episode.
Yeah. Season 2 comes and goes, goes on the rest of his career. And he's like, man, I made it through my entire career without anyone ever noticing what I didn't do with the farts in Mad Men.
The incredible lack of farts in Mad Men.
Here's a good question for you. Who's the character on Mad Men you most want to hear rip ass?
I mean, besides Don, Don's such an easy answer because he's so like perfectly coiffed.
Gotta remove Don. Don.
For reasons I won't get into, but are quite obvious, I'd have to say January Jones.
Let me piggyback you on that. I was gonna go with Joan. I was gonna go with
Oh, okay.
our
All right.
busty redhead. That's interesting. You and I both went for the female on
Mhm,
this.
mhm.
I just
Is this where we start our fart jar collection?
well, that when they had the conveyor belt line, there was the jar that when January and Christina Hendricks walked up, if they, you just trapped it in there and went right on down the line.
Yes, yes, and if any of our listeners out there want to contribute who they would most like to hear fart on
Yeah,
Mad Men, we will be sending our winner
a fart,
a fart jar
a fart jar. Yeah,
of unknown origin.
yeah.
It's Mike's.
I think my second choice for the fart jar for the fart would be Harry.
Harry, okay, why?
I just want to see Harry like in the middle of a meeting. He's like not paying attention. You know, he kind of forgets where he is for a second. He's got that bow
Mhm.
tie on. He's always like chubby and looks kind of stuffed up anyway.
Yeah.
And he's like saying something wormy and wormy and like slimy, but then he just like just everyone at the table just stops. And then we just have a slow hold and pan on Sal where he's just like,
He's like, "Girl."
yeah. We just get the Sal for the reaction shot.
Okay. That my wife, Erica, loves those numbered multiple choice options for like, "Do you know your partner?
Oh yeah.
Which radical Hot Wheel would she choose?" And
Yeah.
I'm like, "You've never said any I've never heard you say any cars that you like
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
life." And then I'm like, "That one." She's like, "Ah, you don't know me at all." So I think we could make one of those for like who which fart sound is most accurate to its Mad Men counterpart. It'd be
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
one, it'd be like Ken, it'd be like
which fart sound matches our Mad Men actor? And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you click the button and it's like it's a little it's like squeak. Oh, that's Ken. That just feels like a Ken to me.
Mhm. And if it's
Um,
really like proper and like stuffy, it's like that's like, oh, that's Pete.
yeah.
Definitely Pete.
If it's wet and a little like out of control, I'm going with Bert Cooper. But that could also be Roger if he's like 7 drinks deep.
Yeah. Yep. I think we got a winner there.
Now, I'm not saying Bert Cooper is incontinent.
A small dog, not unlike Lassie, has just been run over in the parking lot.
Right before we started to record this.
Are you guys ready to laugh at fart jokes?
Yeah, there's somebody out there listening to this gonna be like, they're gonna talk about the show at some point, right? Maybe. I don't
Listen,
know.
that's all we do is
Yeah.
analyze the distinct lack of farts in Mad Men.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
was a
I mean,
strong choice.
to be honest, you'd have to be shocked if you knew either one of us that we made it through 2 whole seasons before the fart episode.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Well,
come
I
on.
mean, they've made it in almost everything that we do because that
Mhm.
whenever we're recording anything, the most fun thing to do is record a burp or a fart.
Yeah, just grab that mic and go.
Dude, so, like, I have an editor that was working on, my movie, Seams, and I was, like for some reason, I was, like, so gassy for, like, a lot of the scenes, and and I would do a take, and then I go, "Blah," and just burp, and I was like, "Nice," and he, like, kept in, like, a lot of the burps and farts, like, in the I was like, "Hell yeah, dude. That
Yeah.
adds a lot of flavor and texture."
Mhm. Yeah. And you just
Yeah.
like, yeah, you turn into AJ when you're watching the first cut. You're like, who's ripping those big ones? They're gonna be
Exactly.
coking that fridge downstairs. Um, I I love both of these episodes. I love everything that Tony does. I love his sickness. I love him being in this moment. his just unending racism about the Indian food. I love how he yells I love how he yells the word chicken vindaloo when he's like barfing. It's the chicken vindaloo. It's just so good.
Yeah. Is this the most David Lynch trippy backwards talking
No,
girl episode?
only because in season 5 they do test dream, and that's literally the entire episode is a dream. Where this
Mhm.
it's only like 15 minutes. Test dream is like 40 minutes stuck in a dream.
But
Um,
that plays as like there's nothing super odd or off about that. Like
okay,
this is this feels extremely kind of David Lynchy,
yeah.
Twin Peaks.
In the sense that like when like in his dream sequence he'll be talking to someone, they'll turn away, turn back, those people aren't there anymore. He's
Mhm.
talking to another version of something.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's more scattered where you're saying test dream has more like a linear path to
It's
it.
yeah, yeah, there was no real surreal elements of Test Stream. Like, here, he's, like, walking without moving, and people are just kinda, like, floating in and out
Yeah.
of his field of view. It felt very, new wave,
Yeah.
David Lynch-ish.
I remember kind of watching this episode for the first time, and this is the first time we get like a full Tony dream sequence.
Mhm.
Um, but kind of like a couple seconds in, like you said, when they do a cutback or two, it's just like, oh, we're in a dream. We're in a dream now, aren't we? We
Yeah,
have to be.
they don't dance around it, I mean, just the way everyone was, like, sitting on that bench is, like,
Mhm.
so specific and weird.
Yeah,
You're like, what the hell is going on here?" And
yeah,
then, I you sort of feel something's off, and then the dude turns and his head's, like, blown off. You're like, "Oh,
mhm,
this is weird."
yeah. Um, let's get into some comparisons. I'd be curious, kind of watching these and going back through them. I'm curious to compare season 2 finale of Mad Men with the season 1 finale of Sopranos. They feel very similar to me. Of course, that's not what we analyzed here, but in terms of just how everything was set up, I felt these 2 episodes we did this week felt very different. Almost in the sense that Mad Men was very methodical, very we have to get through this, we have to get through this. We have this natural line of progression. Over on Sopranos, it's very ethereal. It's a little it's scattershot. The very nature of this episode, Funhouse. I these felt very different to me. What were your thoughts?
I think yeah, there wasn't the, like, specific overlaps that I was hoping would be
Mm,
there. Like, I wanted Don to hit his head or have a dream that
yeah.
was surreal, and I wanted him to fart a lot,
Uh-huh. Yeah. He didn't fart.
and
We didn't get the
yeah.
farts.
No, 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 we didn't get the conscious or unconscious,
Mhm.
kinda overlaps, but I think the broad strokes were still there, and I found some, very very distinct similarities that I think are at least fun.
Yeah. Cool. Go ahead and start us off with one then. I got a few,
Okay.
but you can go ahead and fire it off.
So, both episodes have the truth finally coming out. Pussy is a rat, and Don admits that he like hasn't been true to his wife, and Peggy
And Peggy.
confesses to
Yeah.
Pete. So it's like this full 2-season arc
Yeah.
crescendos in this
Yeah.
episode.
You're right. We have these multiple secrets that have been hanging over and directing all these characters' lives. They really do come to a head here. I'd throw in second kind of secondary to that. It's really subtle, but this Pete admitting to his wife that he doesn't love her when they're in their apartment and she's gonna flee. And he's like, I want to be here in Manhattan. You want to be with your parents. And she goes, if you really loved me, you would want to be with me, like in the face of Armageddon. And he's like, you're right. And he just decides to stay there. And even going back to the very first couple episodes with Pete and his new wife, he's never loved her. which I don't know why she's such a fox. I mean, what's on Fox tonight? Something ribald, no doubt. But yeah, yeah, there's two real big secrets in each episode that really come to a head here.
Mhm. So within these two scenes or these two plot crescendos are maybe my two favorite scenes in either of these series. Like, just like the process of taking Pussy out on the boat
Mm,
and then being like, dude, it's over. Like, we know you did this. And he knows it's over. They know it's
yeah,
over. They have some nice shots together. Like, Tony is literally shitting and puking his pants
yeah,
and taking these shots because that's how important it is. Like, this brotherhood that they have. And they're all just, they reluctantly kill him. Like, they have to. And he, he's so, like, I don't know which side I would want to be on less.
yeah,
Like, both of those sides are the worst side you can be on.
yeah, yeah.
And
You're
it's such a real scene. Like you write that scene, you write some snappy dialogue, and you're like, I mean, yeah, that's written well, but, like, that's not how it would go. It's an
no,
awkward, ugly, like, heart destroying scene.
yeah. There are multiple times where each character or each side of this, there's Pussy and then the other three guys, where the conversation starts and stops. Like you said, it wouldn't be this like perfectly flowing Aaron Sorkin-esque
Mhm.
like quip fest to the grave.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's it's stutter stop. It's I gotta take a break, step out here, come back. It's now in a different direction. It's meandering.
Mhm.
It's not this because it couldn't be. It wouldn't be.
And and in the same way that Peggy's like Don's talk with Betty is like important to the show's narrative, but it doesn't pack the punch that Pussy's final moments or Peggy and Pete's
Mhm.
final moments. Like pre those moments, the characters are one way, and then after those moments,
Yeah.
they are forever changed in unforgivable
Yeah.
ways.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Like
Um,
like unforgivable. Both of those scenes, like if you have to describe them in one word, unforgivable is
mhm.
the word for both of them.
Yeah.
Like you you've ruined multiple lives, like physically, spiritually, emotionally here.
To piggyback on what you just said, after that conversation with Peggy and Pete, every conversation they have for the rest of their lives is never the same again.
Mhm,
Like they can never go back to now they both have this knowledge. Now everything that transpires between these two characters from our point of view as the viewer has so much more weight over the next like 5 or 7 years because that there's that
mhm,
reality that hangs on them. And then over on Sopranos with Tony killing one of his best friends, you see that played out over the course of the show. Pussy showing up as a ghost here and there, flashbacks, just like quick little moments of him. Like he may be gone, but he's not gone from their memory. He's not that spirit of that event and of him is never gone from the characters.
mhm. Yeah. So though, I mean, just in cinema history, like not even just contained to these two shows, like those are two of the most like impactful, like powerful, brave scene.
Yeah, yeah. Um, when I got season two on DVD when it first came out, and I had watched it, but I hadn't finished the whole season with my parents yet, and it was like Christmas dinner or something, and I was sitting there next to my aunt, who everyone hates, and I was talking to her about everything, and my mom or dad, like my dad's sitting at the other end of the table, like not far from us. My mom's like walking in. I'd mentioned like 2 minutes before, I was like, they haven't seen the finale yet, or they haven't seen the end of it. And then Aunt Carol just like blurts out to me 30 seconds later, and how crazy was it when they killed Pussy out on that boat? I'm just like, God damn it, Carol. Like, and my dad's at the other end of the table, and even he just goes, I'm right here. Do you pay it? Like, Michael just told you to keep your trap shut. And she said that just as like my mom is like walking into the room, being like, dumplings is ready, and just like walks right into that statement. And just
Yeah.
Carol, who has this unending and ever going just black cloud of as just the person who ruins everything hanging over her. Once again, ruined everything.
Yeah.
So fun little
Yeah.
personal story about the finale of season 2 for
Thanks,
Sopranos for me.
Carol.
Yeah,
um, yeah, so these moments, I'm trying to think of just like moments that have like hit me like these have. And dude, us doing this like side by side comparison is forcing my ADD to like fucking evaporate. I don't think I have a thought like the 2 hours that I watched these two
yeah,
episodes. I'm like slowing down time. I'm like in bullet time watching these fucking
yeah,
shows. And it's like like I'm thinking about other moments and other TV shows and movies that have like hit me as hard as this did. And it's like Dark Knight when Joker blows up Rachel in
yeah,
Batman's face, like that.
yeah,
Um like, I mean, this is insanely trite, but like Darth Vader telling Luke he's his father.
yeah. No, it's true.
Like these are moments that are insanely earned, are insanely real,
Mhm.
and the actor,
There's
the
stakes.
character,
There's
the
stakes.
viewer, like they are just forever changed in an unforgivable way
Yeah.
after these scenes.
And maybe that's the conversation, that we're kind of having here. It's just like, these, whether it's these shows or the stuff you just mentioned. I like how you put it, like these were earned.
Mhm.
There's no quick path to it. It's you have to show us over the course of time who these characters are to get to this moment. You can't tell us. We have to see it. We have to feel that build. It's the exact opposite of this is for me the most glaring example is like the prequel trilogy where in episode like 2 and 3 we have this banter between Obi-Wan and Anakin, but it's always like, hey, do you remember when we went and did blah 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 and now we're best friends? Hey, do you remember when we got out of that situation together? And it's like all this stuff happened off screen. You're just telling me what friends they are. None of this feels like it's anything whatsoever. And then like once the end of episode 3 comes and they fight and like all the Jedi are killed, I remember sitting there in the theater being like, "Oh, this is where I would feel something if you guys had done your due diligence storytelling for the
Mm.
last 8.5 hours, but you haven't. So it's not earned." Like that is for me always the example of like unearned character build and payoff is the prequels. Even though they have
Yeah.
9 hours to get there, they never do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you give George Lucas as much money and zero oversight as he wants.
Yeah, but at least what he put together was just the vision of one like autistic aging artist and not a weird soulless boardroom like we've gotten. But neither one are good. Neither one are enjoyable or watchable. It's like the horseshoe theory. Like no matter boardroom puts it together, unwatchable. Crazy old autist, also unwatchable. We
Yeah,
ended
dude,
up
it,
right
it
back
it
here.
pisses me off when people like defend the prequels because I'm like, shut the fuck up. You're setting a precedent for like 10 years from now. We're defending the sequels. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, all I need to do is wait 10 years and make a movie worse than this one, and now that one's good. No, it's
Yeah.
not. No, they're always bad. I
Yeah.
once again, I pride myself on being a fan, but not a delusional fan. I'm not. I don't lie to myself. Star Wars prequels and sequels suck. They're not any fun to watch. Many Saints of Newark sucks. It's not any fun to watch. You don't have to go to your grave defending these things. Um,
um, yeah,
yeah, let me throw one out here.
go for it.
A big event is kind of driving everything in each episode. We have the graduation party
Hmm.
as this looming thing that's hangs over everything on Sopranos and over on Mad Men. We have the Cuban Missile Crisis that is
Hmm.
is sitting in everybody's stomach.
Hmm. Yeah. There's there seems to be a big focus on like stomach related issues in both of these episodes. And actually, I have my specific note on this was both episodes have a ticking time bomb in a
Okay.
main character's stomach. Betty's
Yeah.
unborn baby and Tony's food poisoned stomach, eliciting a fever dream of truth.
Swish. Dude, that was a good one. That was a good one from way downtown.
Yeah.
Oh man. Um,
Yeah.
I think the closest I got to that is in the second to last scene in each one, we say goodbye to our losers. We say goodbye to Davy, and Duck gets his walking papers in like the same point in each episode.
Yeah.
It's right at the end.
I had the feds, well, no, you're right, you're right, yeah. I had, um, like uh Duck's game plan in this
Mhm.
episode to me was the same as the feds' game plan.
Yeah.
Like, they obviously were excited and outkicked outkicked their coverage or
Mhm.
jumped the gun,
Yeah.
and they both did something very foolish that, just the feds fucked their growing case and Duck, like, ruined his entire life.
They were so anxious to get the protagonist that they
Yeah,
yeah, they didn't do
yeah,
their due diligence, so it didn't stick the way they wanted it
yeah,
to.
and it hit him right in the fucking face.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because the fact that, you finally bust Tony Soprano on something, and it's not even good enough to, like, hold him for 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, he has his daughter's graduation in, like, 16 hours, and
Yeah,
he can't
yeah.
even hold him for
It reminds me of that Simpsons episode where they arrest Snake, and he's like, "I'll be back on the street in 24 hours." Like, "We'll try to make it 12."
that.
Yeah.
That's the second unprovoked mention of, Chief Wiggum. I I quoted him earlier, I said, "Did you have the same backwards talking girl in your dream?" That's our promise here, listeners.
Mhm.
Bar
Simpsons,
Simpsons,
farts,
Barts?
Tarantino, we'll get to him eventually.
You know I'll be bringing them up.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was kind of thinking about kind of the beginning of the episode, and I know that the scenes don't line up totally, but early on, we have Tony, he's sitting there at dinner with the crew. He makes a comment about how all my enemies are smoked, which they immediately cut to pussy, and he's laughing, which is a great visual
Mhm,
storyteller there. But I also feel like, Don's kind of in the same boat. He returns. He's got now this money. He's getting his wife back. He kind of feels like he's got a little bit of, all right, I'm back. I'm in my true form here. And then he gets the news from Pete about Duck's move and
mhm,
what's going on there. So I feel like they're both kind of, all my enemies are smoked. I have that written down because they're both kind of carrying themselves with that. I was like, oh no, there's still one more hanging out here. There's still
mhm.
one big one left to
There
go.
there's still the biggest one,
Yeah.
arguably. And I know I fillet, Mad Men's writing almost every episode, but, I'm gonna do it again real quick. So, Duck tells Pete, "Hey, I coordinated this deal. I'm gonna be president. I want you to be head of accounts." And Pete goes, "I don't even know what to say." And Duck goes,
Yeah.
"Just say thank you." And then later in the episode, Pete tells Don all this shit,
Mhm.
and Don just goes, "Thank you."
Yeah. Good catch.
And you're
Really
like,
good catch.
"Holy fuck, like, they are so good
Yeah.
at unconsciously, subconsciously telling us that Don is the fucking man,
Yeah.
like, to, like, every molecule of him."
Yeah. He's always making the quote unquote right decision.
Mhm,
I do love, knowing what we know now, going back and watching this episode, when Duck calls Pete in to his office, and he is just the cock of the walk. Like, oh, he's so full of himself, and he's offering Pete a drink, and Duck's just pulling it up, man. Like he's back in the bottle. There's just no questions asked. I was listening to I was on YouTube yesterday, and one of the things that played for me was a call on Howard Stern from the 90s, and it was Henry Hill, the real life Henry Hill. And he called into the show and he's drunk and he's like telling about like where on the Long Island Expressway they buried all these bodies and everything. And like they're talking about last time we talked to Henry and he was telling us about how good it felt to be clean and sober. Last time we talked to Duck, he was telling us about how good it felt to be clean and sober. Well, now we're talking to him today, and I guess it's more fun to not be sober. I guess it feels better to not be clean and sober because our characters are right back in the bottle first chance they get. And Duck's just pulling it up and this and that. And they even connect that when Pete goes in to talk to Don about how did this deal go down, and he's like, I don't know, Duck met him in a bar, and Don's like, Duck was at a bar. And in that moment, it's like Don's like, ooh, blood in the water here, blood in the water. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
pussy's back in the water.
Yeah. I remember in early college, I took a fucking like one of the dumbest classes. It was like career success or something, and they were teaching us how to like be successful in corporate America. And we had this guest speaker come in, and he was giving us really good advice on how to succeed in corporate America. And he was like, "You need to watch every episode of The Apprentice." And you need to show up before everyone and leave after everyone. And I was like, this guy, what does he make? 30 grand a year? What the fuck is he talking about?
No, I'm not ever.
And to like, I think I knew this unconsciously, but through our deeper analysis, like watch every episode of Mad Men and write down how Don handles anything and
Any
do
situation.
that.
Yeah, just do that.
Do that. The fucking way that I mean, everyone placates, Pete in this episode, but the way Don handles Pete comes in all, like, huffy and puffy, he's like, "Where were you in California?
Mhm.
You know I can't drive," and
Yeah,
and, like, Don clearly hasn't given this a second thought his entire time away. That's how little Pete means to him, and he goes, "Well," and he just thinks he's like, "Well, obviously I knew you could handle
mhm.
it."
Yeah, he turns him in an instant with just, like, one line. Yeah.
And
No,
it
you're
and it's
absolutely right about
because
that.
and it's because he's so good on his feet and so good at placating, like, poor Pete, that Pete then, like, feels allegiance to him and comes back and tells him,
Yeah,
the biggest insight he needs to win, to
yeah,
vanquish his enemies.
yeah, to position himself accordingly. I'm gonna
Yeah.
piggyback on that awful, college How to Succeed in Business story, and I think it was my capstone class or whatever those big business ones were, and they had, like, the president of the business or one of the higher ups come in to give a speech, and I remember he was talking about how important it is to always honor your word and honor your contract in businesses, and that if and this was a very specific example that he used. He was like, "You sign a contract with a company, and then another one comes along a couple months later that offers you more money, like, you owe it to your current company to fulfill that contract." Like you shouldn't take this new gig. I'm sitting there like 21 years old, like the 70-year-old man has a lot of balls sitting up here telling people to leave money on the fucking table because of what? Some like idea of honor in business from like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, how is this any of this relevant in 2020? I mean, it wasn't relevant in 2025. It's definitely not relevant now. I mean, anybody giving you that information now, it's career suicide.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember just sitting there, and I remember arguing with some people in class, being like, "That was the worst advice I've ever heard, and that old man should get the fuck out of this room and never come back." They were like, "Oh, he's a nice guy. He gave us some good advice." I'm like, "Yeah, good luck with that, dude. Good.
Yeah, that's
Good."
like I mean, I haven't been in corporate America in 12 years or so, but all my friends I talk to, like, dude, the only way I like make more money is going to a new company.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
they won't fucking promote me, but if I go to another company, they'll bump me up by 50K every
I've
time.
never, I've never once quote unquote gotten a promotion at a company, maybe I'm a little bit different than you because most of my clients are still like corporate. I go in every now and then, like one day a week here and there, so I still like touch on it here and there. But yeah, I've never been bumped up when I had a full time role. The only way to do it is get a job and then go get another job in 18 months.
Mhm.
Go get another job in 20 months. Like, oh, you signed that contract. Don didn't sign a contract. Don didn't sign shit.
Dude, and the way that Don, without saying, like, "Fuck you, duck," is just able to so, like, perfectly judo throw
Yeah.
duck, like, right out the window.
Yeah. Yeah. Took
It's just
Took Duck's own momentum and chucks him out the window without even breaking a sweat. Yeah.
like, that's not Don falling in the intro, that's Duck.
Yeah. That's Duck.
I mean, the way he said that, like, there's nothing that, like, HR would need to get involved with, there's nothing that they're like, "What the fuck, Don?" Like, they're just like, "He's absolutely right."
Yeah. Yeah. And so much so that immediately they're like, Duck, will you please leave the room now too? Like as soon as
Yeah.
Don gets up and leaves, their first thought is, we all know let's get Duck out of this room right now. Like there's no even like question about it.
And
And
I
then
and I feel like yeah, go ahead.
he leaves the room, and the first thing they say is like, that fucking drunk. It's just, he can't hold his liquor.
I love that those guys know he can't hold his liquor and
Yeah.
insist that he drink with them.
Yeah. And they send him a case of Tanqueray.
Yeah. And I haven't watched season 3, episode 1 in, I don't know, many years, but I'm sure that they just show up and Duck's just gone and no one even explains
No,
it.
he's gone. Yeah.
We're just like, he's done.
He comes back again in season 4 and here and there, but yeah, that's it. Because what else would you
Yeah.
need? He got banished to the Phantom Zone. He got sent to the same place Pussy did, man. Like he got taken out on the boat and shot in the fucking face. Like that's the equivalent of that.
Yeah, okay, alright, would you rather get, shot on a boat in the middle of the ocean and then your corpse dumped with garbage bags and weights to the bottom of the sea, or would you rather get publicly humiliated and, banished from the office?
Okay, hold on. Let me sweeten this question a little bit. It's getting shot on the face out in the boat, or I think it's the Freddie Rumsen walk of shame with the pants that are covered in piss, with the shoes that squish. Because at least if you're Duck in that moment, you can kind of slink out without the office knowing like what happened to you in that moment or your current position. You could go to your office, get all your stuff, and leave, and still maintain an ounce of dignity. But like the Freddie Rumsen squish walk, I think that's the worst one. I don't know. I think I'd rather sit on the boat and have you and like Paranik shoot me in the face.
Yeah, at least we get
I,
a nice moment together.
yeah. At least we can have a shot, and we can enjoy some banter one last time.
Dude,
Um,
what the fuck? They were drinking, like, the tequila that we drank in college. That was a bottle of Jose Cuervo.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the $13 bottle.
Yeah, it's not even tequila.
No, no. Let me see what I got here. Oh, I got a question for you about Tony here. Is Tony's day, because this episode all takes place in like one day, is that the longest day ever? Where you start off and it's just after midnight and you have diarrhea and you're vomiting, and then in the middle of the day you shoot your friend in the face, and then the end of the day you're in federal holding. Is that the longest day ever?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. Yeah.
That feels rough.
Yeah. That I don't know how that all fits in one day as well. It's like
I
I
remember
mean, I guess
the first handful of times I watched it, there's because like you said, so much goes on. I always thought it was like Tony gets sick at night, he spends a day being sick, and then like the next day, that's when Artie comes, that's when
Mhm.
everything starts. I always built in a whole nother day. But then you go back and watch, like, oh no, this is supposed to be like 24 hours. It's a lot.
What?
That's a lot.
Jesus Christ. I mean, dude, the feds coming to get you after you blow away one of their informants, like, that's gotta be a little
Are you
jarring.
here for that?
Yeah, like, fuck. How'd you
I
find
know
out so quick?
I know he wasn't wired because we checked him before we dumped him over into the ocean.
Yeah. I thought of, an even better title for the Sopranos episode, uh, Vindaloo farts.
Yeah, yeah, the chicken vindaloo farts. Yeah,
Vindaloo, stock
I
farts.
I love how he says vindaloo.
Vindaloo.
Vindaloo. Like it has an R. Yeah, it has an R at the end of it. Vindaloo.
Vindaloo. I'm an
Just,
oar.
yeah, just like whore. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What else you got?
Aside from no, that's pretty much it. All my stuff was big stuff.
Mhm. Okay. I have, both episodes have terrible 90s-esque special effects.
Mhm.
The fall trees behind Don and Betty, and Pussy is a talking fish.
Yeah, yeah. The
Like,
fish isn't great.
that's the one thing that they can't recreate, like, shooting all the exteriors in Pasadena. Like, there's
Uh
no fall foliage there.
yeah, yeah. There's
So they literally, like, they did, like, a digital matte painting. It
yeah.
was so fucking cheap looking. Or
they
they
did they
shot
did they did Mario paints.
yeah, like, literally, like, MS Paint. Um, and you can, like, see, like, the green screen outline over, like, Betty's head.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I gotta go back and look at that. 'Cause
it's
that's
terrible.
when she goes that's when they're in the beginning at the horse farm, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, I got a fucking weird one, man. Um, both of these episodes have 3 characters surrounding and demanding the truth from one wired character who
Oh.
spills the beans.
Oh, okay.
So obviously in
Yeah.
Sopranos, it's everybody around Pussy, and in Mad Men, it's Ken, Sal, and Beardo around
Harry. Oh, not Harry,
the
the other one. Yeah, Beardo.
yeah
Yeah.
around the switchboard operator.
Yeah. Really good. Really good
Like,
catch. Oh my
what the
god.
fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Like, it's even shot the same. The Inquisitioners are on the left, and the Spillers on the right.
Yeah. Yeah, and they keep cutting back and forth between the 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the Spiller on both sides has one request: "Don't shoot me in the face, and bring me with you."
Yeah.
Balloons.
Well,
I don't know what the fuck that
where did that come from?
was. Yeah, our CIA agent watching us wanted to applaud
Yeah,
us.
our handlers wanted to give, you a thumbs up on that,
Yeah.
Chris. That was, that was a good one.
Yeah. Dude, that's one of the ones that, like, if Matt Weiner listened to this or was on the episode, he'd be like, "Fucking nice."
Yeah. Y dude, that one
He's
was
like
wild.
he's like, "I'm not even mad."
No, I got there's no way for me to improve on that.
Yeah. That's, fully, weaponized autism,
Oh
ladies
my
and
god.
gentlemen.
Fantastic.
Um, both episodes have extended graphic sex scenes, Tony and Carmela and Betty with the bar guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I always love, Tony and, or Tony's whole approach with Carmela and with the coats. That just as a
Oh,
man
yeah.
and a husband, just, "I'm gonna buy you this thing. No, you can try it on. You're not trying it on with clothes on," and just
Yeah.
use that to just maneuver yourself right into some sex. I always liked how Tony pulled that off.
Yeah, yeah. No, they got some good ideas in this show.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, both have characters demanding the truth be revealed seemingly before death. Obviously Tony to Pussy and Father Hanks to Peggy. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot both of these episodes have a lot of themes of an impending doom and death.
Mhm.
Like Tony setting himself on fire and just Mad Men's total nuclear annihilation.
Yeah. And that's really kind of the whole crux of the conversation with Melfi at the end of the episode that she calls him out on about I think that's one of my favorites Melfi scenes. Just because of how many different kind of layers and barriers Tony has up and is going through, and Melfi sees through them and being and well, you threw that at me like a rock, and I've been with you for 2 years, and I can detect like true sadness in you. I think that's one of my favorite ones, and it
Mhm.
ends with him, being pegged, and her having him figured out completely, but him walking off and maybe baby I'll have you. I just love it. I love that whole back and forth they have.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was surprised and I had forgotten that we say goodbye to David Scatino at the graduation thing, but then like the second to last shot of the entire season is Davey like in the parking lot getting in his shitty car where he doesn't even have like a rooftop carrier. All the stuff on his rooftop carrier is covered like in a plastic garbage bag
Yeah,
because he
yeah.
can't afford the plastic carrier. Dude, you ran a sporting goods store. You couldn't have walked out with one of the plastic carriers that was in your sporting goods store.
Yeah.
You went
Yeah.
bankrupt paying for all that shit. You might as well have got the carrier.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I had a thought while Tony was kinda we were ending that character in The Sopranos,
Mhm.
and it's like, what was the last episode he was on? Like 5 episodes ago? 6 episodes ago?
Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah, like, it was a minute ago, and
Yeah.
he was still fully in character, like, he looked gaunt, he
Oh,
looked like he'd been crying for weeks, if not
he looked
months.
worse than he did before.
He looked fucking terrible, and,
Yeah.
like, dude, that's a testament to T-1000's, like, acting ability, like, what a
Yeah.
fucking incredible talent, and what a tragedy that we lost this amazing talent because he chose, like, these loser fucking roles that, like, manifested in his own life.
I was gonna ask you because I was thinking about this the other day. Um, what else have these losers been on? But he remember when he was he got brought in to replace Duchovny on like the last 2 seasons of X
Yeah, they
Files.
were terrible.
Yeah, that I'm certain nobody watched like a minute of. Like I couldn't tell you anything about either one, like any of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was yeah, that dawned on me the other day. I forget what I was doing, but I was like, oh yeah, he did X Files. Well,
Mhm.
that certainly doesn't negate the entire point we've made
If
over the
anything,
course of
it
this program.
it reinforces it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
I think our big lesson from, season 2 is, like, if you're a great actor, please don't take any loser roles.
I think it's not just actor. I think let's take this message that you just had, let's apply it to what we just talked about Don Draper, and just go watch everything he does and try to copy it as much as possible. The lesson in life is don't ever allow yourself to be a loser. Don't ever play the role of the loser. Don't use too much self-deprecating humor. Don't be one of these guys who are like, oh, I don't know if last time I had coffee at 5 o'clock, I was up all night, or God knows what, or anything like that. Stop it. Stop it. Don't ever be a loser and just be Don. That SNL bit
Amen.
where he's like, how to be Don Draper, and he's like, look good, smell good, talk good, blow everyone away every time you say anything. That's not a joke. That's not a joke.
Mhm.
Do
Mhm.
it.
I'm Nathaniel Slurpless.
Yeah, Nathaniel Snurpus. Yeah, that's the lesson from season 2. Do not be a loser. Do not play the loser. You will become the loser, or you are the loser, and it will just that cement will just harden. And that's
Mhm.
it, man. That's it.
Yep.
Um, we were talking, I talking about my wife's sister and her daughter, and she's a teenager and she's having all kinds of issues. Like her dad's not around, and it's just not great. And I was telling her the other day, I was like, you know, she's at that weird time as a teenager where if they don't like fix things now, like that cement's gonna harden
Mm,
and
mhm,
she's just gonna be screwed for life. Like
mhm.
like she's already a train wreck. I don't know what's going on in that family, but whatever it is, like that that cement's gonna harden, and you're just now you're Duck Phillips. Now you're Duck. The end.
Yeah. Yep. Uh, yeah, those are all my similarities. There were some great lines here.
Yeah, this is a great quote episode.
Um,
I think my favorite quote is something really small that Carmela says when Livia calls and she hands the phone over to Tony. She's like, "The fun never stops." It's something little, it's something small there, but that's a very like true to life little line.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I love Don's reaction to Peggy having a new office. He's like, "Do I work for you now?"
Yeah,
She's like,
yeah.
"God damn it, you're charming."
Well, and also the thing he says like right after that, he's like, uh, you know, what else is new other than her haircut? Like all
Mhm.
the other guys in the room had said something to Peggy like, "Hey, what's different about you? What's going on, huh?" And she had to tell them, "Oh, I got a new haircut." Don sees it, compliments it, like right there, like just and just that. And when he even when he delivers that line, she does this little like like little shimmy, like the
Yeah. Yeah. I love, Roger and Don's, like, meeting, like,
yeah.
first meeting. Don kinda in a corporate way, like, gets in Roger's face. He's like, "I think my absences stacked up next to yours
I
would
love
be
that
very
line too.
similar."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
"Oh,
You
fuck."
can't just disappear for 3 weeks. I'll put my absences up against yours any day of the week.
It's like, "Oh."
Well,
Yeah.
touche.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all my overlaps and special things. Hey, do you wanna do, you got time for, like, family check-in? Like, Bill Simmons style?
Oh yeah,
You wanna
sure.
roll?
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, just heading to Italy this week, so I'm excited about that.
Very cool. We are leaving for Orlando next Saturday.
Ooh.
We are doing the Disney trip, the full
Uh-oh.
blown Disney trip with my mom and the girls and my wife. I am a little concerned. My youngest has been having what I'm going to call performance anxiety lately. And that
Mhm.
is just like, you will be like, "Hey, we're going to go get your hair cut. We're going to go do something." She's like, "Okay, okay, okay." But then you get there and then there's a complete meltdown. Like
Mhm.
she can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. And you just have to throw your hands up and walk away. So in the back of my head, the last couple months, as this has been going on here and there, I've been telling Jenny how worried I am about the flight and everything,
Mhm.
and getting Nova on this plane. And she really didn't understand it till I explained it to her. I was like, "What happens if we get to the gate and that's what Nova turns into? Like, we can't get her on the plane. She's thrashing, it's screaming. We can't get her on the plane. Like, Jenny, do you have any idea what's going to happen if that's the scenario?" And she's looking at me like wide eyed, like, "No, what would happen?" I go, "Here's what fucking happens. You, Ivy, and my mom get on that plane, and Nova and I walk out to the car and start driving down I-75. That's how this goes down." And Jenny was like, "Oh my God, you're right. Oh my God, you're right. This is how, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine." And we've had a good couple of weeks and we haven't had this flare up. But as I keep saying, like, this ain't a 0% chance this is going to happen, but it's also not a 100% chance. So all week in the back of my head, I'm just going to be like, am I going to have to drive this goddamn kid to Orlando on Friday afternoon? I'm going to lose my shit.
We
So
could do, From the Road,
yeah,
Mad
I,
Sopranos Men.
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, where we just talk about like road trip episodes of both of them. But that's
Yeah.
my head, and I'm already planning like I'm gonna take my bag and put it in the car because if this is the case, I don't want to have to drive back to the house to get something and then hit I-75. I just want to leave the airport and start heading to Orlando. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not too worried about it, but
Yeah, yeah. Kids, man.
I don't know. Are you meeting anybody? Oh, is your mom still there?
She left today. She left this morning.
Okay.
She was here for about a week. We had a
Yeah.
nice little time. Went to a bunch of restaurants, museums, walking tours. Took her to this cool beach area called Costa Brava, about 2 hours north of here.
Cool.
Everything was great. She got food poisoning Wednesday night,
Was it the
unfortunately.
chicken vindaloo?
It was the vindaloo.
Yeah. Yeah, the vindaloo.
Her fart sounds.
Is Nancy blowing those big ones?
They were absolutely
Yeah.
original.
They were crisp. No stock farts here. Those were real homemade farts.
Yeah, so felt bad about that, but, yeah, I think she dug it, and, Sunday, we're flying out to Italy to meet Julie for, like, a week,
Okay, that
all
was my next
over
question.
a bunch of places in Italy. Um, a flight from Barcelona to Milan is 30 euros.
I That's funny you mentioned that. I was looking at some stuff too. And yeah,
Yeah,
a few weeks ago, if we wanted to make a trip over there for a night or two, and I was surprised how cheap it was.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
All right,
it's
man.
hilarious.
Well, this is great. I'll see you for season 3, and we'll talk soon. And maybe we'll do one from the road.
Alright, sounds
All right.
good.
Good job by you, buddy.
Good job by you. Peace.